The Ellsberg Initiative for Peace and Democracy was inspired by the University of Massachusetts acquisition of Daniel Ellsberg's papers some 4 years ago.
I'm Dan Ellsberg. I'm very proud that my personal papers are housed in the Rob Cox Special Collections in University Archives at the Du Bois Library. The UMass Archive has a well-deserved reputation for acquiring collections that deepen our understanding of movements for justice, peace, and democracy. I also welcome the efforts of UMass historian Chris Appy and others at UMass to create an Ellsberg Initiative for Peace and Democracy.
We're now trying to build on Dan's legacy with a permanent institute to promote public understanding, scholarship, and activism in support of compelling democratic and sustainable alternatives to militarism, authoritarianism, and environmental degradation.
Democracy at peril at home and abroad, and civilization itself threatened by the prospects of environmental catastrophe and nuclear war. This endeavor could not be more important or more timely.
We are doing it through a variety of programs that we're seeking funding for. We want to have lectures, panel discussions, workshops. It is my honor to welcome you to the inaugural Ellsberg Lecture by the 2022 Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Azmat Khan.
And, I think that what's really fundamental to understand is the way that America conducts wars today.
We also will have every year an activist in residence who will come for a week to meet students, visit classes, give a public lecture.
I've also enjoyed the opportunity to meet several classes of UMass students who have done research on my papers. Talking with them via Zoom, I found them to be remarkably insightful and engaged. In fact, on a number of occasions, UMass students have asked me completely original questions that I've never been asked before. I can tell you after 50 years, that's unusual.
And each spring we'd like to have a public conference around an issue that has great relevance to the life and legacy of Daniel Ellsberg. So next spring we are going to have a conference on public interest whistleblowing.
The poet William Stafford wrote, "I call it cruel, and maybe the root of all cruelty, to know what occurs, but not recognize the fact."
But all that takes an enormous amount of funding, and we are in the process of trying to attract some major donations so that we can endow a permanent Ellsberg Institute. But we also need a sort of day-to-day operating expenses to be met. So even small donations can make an enormous difference in keeping us going.
Daniel Ellsberg was accustomed to people telling him how much he inspired them. But I sensed in his eyes and in his heart a persistent question. Inspired to do what?